Hello, this is Martha Guptill from CelebrityCharities.com, and I'm at the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention held in Hunt Valley, Maryland, 2016. I'm here with Jim Rosin, actor, writer, and wonderful to see you again. It's always wonderful to see you, Jim.
Nice to see you too.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Jim, would you be able to give us information as to how auditioning has changed over the years in TV and film?
Yeah, that's a good question. Nowadays, when you go into audition for a television show or a movie, everything is done on camera. Where in the old days you would come in, you would read for the casting director, then ultimately, if you were lucky, get called back and read for the producer, director, and you could have your script in your hand to refer to if you wanted, and there would be some aesthetic distance. They might be 6, 8, 10 feet away. You go into audition now, and the camera is maybe 3 feet away. There's someone operating it. There's someone standing alongside of it that's giving you the lines. It's not an actor. And then behind them, maybe the producer, director, casting director, her assistant, and they're watching it on a monitor. So it's a little bit different. You have a little added pressure to almost give a performance because you're on camera, and it's best to memorize the lines. I always felt that it was most important to understand what the scene was about, and in going over the scene and understanding what your character wants and what he's up against, in other words, what his intention is and what his conflict is in the scene, the lines would come to you as you read it over and over again, which I think is true. But, especially now when you're in front of a camera, the tendency is to want to memorize lines because you don't want to look down and grab a line because you're being recorded. Although I don't think there's anything wrong with it, as long as you don't break the flow and the continuity of what you're doing. But there's that added pressure, and you want the people to like you, you want them to hire you. So it's a little bit different than it used to be. But it's something that all actors and actresses have to go through. But auditioning is very unnatural because, again, you're not on a set, you're not working with other actors, you're getting lines from someone that's probably usually not an actor, so you're not getting anything to work off of. And you're in a little room, and there's no props, there's no set, as I said, and there's people 6, 8, 10 feet away from you that are in a position to hire you or dismiss you. So you put all that together, it's,
a lot of tension.
The tension's on. I think what you have to learn too is you can't deny that you're nervous or anxious. But the secret is, I think, the more you understand the scene and what it is that you want in the scene, and use that and focus on that, and utilize the energy that you have, the anxiousness that you have. I think that's how you get around it.
I know from where you speak, because having been on named shows such as Adam 12, Quincy, it goes on, and then plus being an author as well of many of the television series. Would you mention some of the different television series that you have written?
The first show,
about?
That I wrote. I wrote books about shows that I grew up with that I thought were enjoyed by millions of people, and that were all diverse. Route 66 with George Maharis and Martin Milner. Naked City, which was a police drama about the ordinary denizens of New York. It was not just a crime show. Wagon Train, which was a great Western about people traveling from Missouri to California. Adventures in Paradise, which was really an escapist show that people took to because of the locale, the South Pacific and the music, and it was, a place where they don't go. They've never been, so that was a fun book to write, do a show on. To do a show, what did I say? That was a fun show to do a book on.
Right.
I did a book on Quincy, which was the show that I worked on, of course. So I had access to all the people, which was nice. I did a book on streets of San Francisco, and I did a book on the Invaders. My friend Roy Thinnis starred in that, so that motivated me to do that project. And then Streets was a good book. It was fun to do. Michael Douglas contributed to the book, and John Wilder, who produced it for 3 or 4 years, and I had access to some of the directors that I knew that did multiple episodes. So that was a fun book. So I've done, again, books that I enjoyed the shows. I thought they were all different types of books, different subjects, a Western, a police show, a medical show, an adventure show, or a drama show. And we're on the air for many years, and we're successful because, they were so well done, and
Yes.
people loved watching them. So.
Now, and for yourself, having been in series like that, we mentioned Adam 12 and Quincy, and being an actor, and going through that process that you mentioned, would you want to speak of maybe an audition that you had done for Adam 12 or Quincy?
Geez, it's been such a long time, I don't remember. I will say this to you. When you audition for a show, it's interesting that even if you give a good audition and that what you do is believable and honest, you may not get the part. You say, well, why not? If you give it, because you may not have the qualities that they're looking for. If you read the scene and see it a certain way, and they want it done another way, or they see another quality trait in the character that you're not presenting, they may say, well, listen, try this, or they might give you a note. I think he would be more of this or that.
Yes.
And then you can make the adjustment. If you don't, because you just don't have that quality, then it doesn't matter how good your reading was or your audition was. But, if you are honest and truthful, sometimes you make an impression so that they might remember and say, he wasn't right for that role, but he's right for this one.
Exactly.
Now, that happens sometimes, but a lot of times it doesn't. But all you can do with auditioning is go in, be prepared, do the best that you can do, and then thank you very much, bye-bye, and walk out and leave it behind you. Because if you dwell on it, it's not good. It's defeating. And when you think about it, an audition is really a moment in time. It doesn't define your talent, doesn't define who you are as an actor. And people give good auditions and people give not so good auditions. But as I said before, it's something that every actor has to go through, and you have to accept that it's something you have to do to get the job. And then when you get the job, it's exhilarating, it's fun. You work with nice people, and everybody is contributing to. It's like a synthesis. Everybody's doing their part to create a finished product.
Yeah.
And you work quickly. Most episodic TV shows are done 6-7 days now, I think. 7 days, and they shoot. A lot of them are shooting digitally, which facilitates, editing and the process somewhat. But it's really it's a wonderful business when you work.
Yes.
But the secret is getting the job because there is a lot of competition, and that's why I'm writing, because
Yes.
I think the more things you can do, the better off you are. And the nice thing about writing is they can't prevent you from doing it.
Exactly.
A painter can paint in a garret. A writer can write in a kitchen, in a dining room. He can write in his bedroom, his living room. He could write when he's out anywhere. If thought comes into his head, they can't stop you from doing that. And writing, if you're able to write a screenplay or a teleplay or write a book, it's it's a great investment of your time and of yourself, and it's very fulfilling. And you can't compare working maybe 1 or 2 days in a TV show and saying someone else's words to that, because it's a greater investment of yourself. So I think the bottom line is the more that you can do, the better off you are.
Well, that's right. And would you please tell us what your current projects are and how you may be contacted to find out that information, your activities, or in charities that you have an interest in?
Well, I have interest in, as far as charities, I like Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is a good charity organization that I like to donate to. St. Jude's, because they're both involve children. There's some others I can't think of, but usually when people approach you, your heart goes out to them, and you do what you can. But those come to mind right away. As far as what I'm working on, I have three projects I've written. I think they're really geared toward television. They're television movies. The television movie market is not, very prevalent now, because outside of HBO, which does biopictures about high-profile people, there really isn't anybody else. The Hallmark Channel does it, but they do things that are more very warm and fuzzy, and they're filmed in Canada. And if you write a good dramatic script that may have an edge, it may not be appropriate for Hallmark. But the TV subscription services are starting to pop up. In addition to Netflix, I think Apple is gearing up to do one. I think there's another one, I'm told, that Sony is going to be behind. And Netflix, I think, this year is producing, I'm told, 10 or 11 original movies. So what I've written may be, geared toward those avenues, because I think they're more geared toward the small screen than theatrical release. I have 2 dramatic stories. One is a crime show. One is about a boy in a small town and the problems he faces because of a condition he has. It's a very touching story. But again, I think they're more suited for the small screen. And then I have a musical bio that I've written as a play and as a screenplay about Charlie Gracie, who was the first rock and roll superstar to come out of Philadelphia and become a big hit in England. He was the first American solo artist to go over there and achieve success. So his life story is very compelling, and I approached him about writing it because he came out with a book 1.5 years ago called Rock and Roll's Hidden Giant. So this is called Boogie Woogie Blues, and it has 14 songs in it, and it's a very enjoyable story. It takes place in the 50s and 60s. It's a period film. But I went back and watched the Buddy Holly story, and I watched La Bamba before I wrote this, because I wanted to, revisit those. And I think his personal journey is in league with those stories. We'll see. It's some great roles for some actors, and
Sounds wonderful, really.
yeah. So we'll see. It's very difficult to get people to read things now, and there's a lot of people writing. So and when you do submit projects to different production companies, it takes a long time for them to get back to you. But everything is predicated on the printed page.
Yes.
I mean, it starts with the script. So we'll see what happens. But those 3 projects are out there: Boogie Woogie Blues, Butterfly, about the young man, and Community Cop, about this policeman in an urban neighborhood. It's about community policing and retaking a neighborhood that's been crime-ridden. It's very timely. It's an interesting story. And he works in a mini station, which is an interesting concept. And he pounds a beat. It's like the old-fashioned patrol officer. Banged his baton along the fence and knew everybody in the neighborhood. It's that type of story. So there are three different subject matters. So we'll see.
Well, I wish you all the best.
Well, thank you very much.
And you can be contacted, and your website is?
Yeah, classictvseriesbooks.com.
Oh, Well, thank you so much, Jim Rosen.
Well,
It's a pleasure.
thank you for revisiting with me. It's
Yes.
been nice to see you.
Same here.
Yeah,
Thank
enjoy
you.
the show.
Thank you. Yes.
A lot of people here.
Yes. Thank you.